Well everybody, I have a very special video for you today. Nick at Blades and Bows very kindly sent me this new Mankind crossbow for free, and they asked if I could do a review of it, you know, an honest fair review, what I thought of it, you know, so it's good for them because they have somebody on YouTube sort of, you know, doing an honest review of it that people like the videos of, and I've bought from Blades and Bows before and everything, and they always give good service and everything. So I'm obviously absolutely chuffed to have this crossbow, and they even sent me some bolts with it as well, and another type of archery boss bag thing, but I need to fill that up, so I won't do that today. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you a quick overlook of the crossbow, I'm going to assemble it, and then we're going to shoot it, and I'm going to give you my honest first impressions, sort of semi-review of it, and then what I'm going to do in a few weeks after I've had a real chance to get to grips with it, I'll do a sort of full-on review. And I've already opened the box up and had a look through it, and it looks fantastic, so I'm going to show you what's in it now, and then obviously let's have a look at it. So first off, let's have a look what it says on the box. It says 175 pounds crossbow, solid fiberglass limb, light composite stock, aluminium riser, aluminium barrel. It says it does 360 feet per second, has 175 pound draw weight, 35 inch length, and a 15 inch power stroke. And power stroke's how far the string pulls back into the cocking mechanism. And it's advertised on the Blades and Bows site as the MK400. Now, one of the good things they do say on the Blades and Bows website is they do say it's a Mankind one. They don't say it's an Armex this or something else that. They say, you know, that they're offering it cheaper than everywhere else because they're selling it under the Mankind name. They're not rebranding it and claiming it's another brand. And that's obviously good because it is Mankind that makes all of them. It doesn't matter if you put Armex or whatever on it, it's still a Mankind crossbow. So you know exactly what you're getting. And it also has a rope cocker in there, a scope, a sling, and a quiver with 4 bolts in it. And it's one of those ones that sticks underneath the crossbow, which I haven't used before, which will be interesting. Right, let's get open and see what you get inside. Right, you've got an instruction manual and a bow, and obviously this is the compound bow. It's got 4 limbs, and it's got the whole wheel pulley system, however they work, to give you more power out of a smaller bow. You've then, in this section here, got the bolts, and you've also got the actual cocking aid. I've already got one of those, but it's nice to have one included. You've got parts for it, some more parts for it looks like, and the scope, a stirrup and a cleaning cloth, and there's also some rail lube in there somewhere. And underneath you have the main crossbow body and a sling. So I'm going to assemble this now, then we'll have a look at it, what it looks like when it's all assembled. Well, here it is, finally assembled. And as you can probably hear, it's really started raining. So I'm going to have to wait for that to finish before I go out and use it. It's like storm conditions now. But the crossbow looks magnificent. It took quite a while to put together, I'd say between 40 minutes and an hour. However, there was no point where it was really frustrating to put together. The instructions are pretty good. The only complaint I have with them is that the photos in them are black and white and the contrast is a bit too high. So you can't always see exactly what the picture's meant to be showing you, but most of the assembly is common sense. The very good bit is putting the actual compound bow together, in a sense, onto the rifle body is actually one of the easiest parts of it. So you don't really have to worry thinking, oh no, my crossbow is going to shatter when I fire it, because that's the easiest bit to put on. The stirrup was actually harder, and getting the sling right was quite difficult, and getting the little arrow quiver thing on the bottom correct was a bit challenging as well, but most of it uses common sense. So I'll give you a few angles of the crossbow, and then when the weather's better I'll take it outside and we'll see what this thing can do. The rain has finally slowed down enough to allow me to use it. I've adjusted the sight forwards a little bit, the scope forwards a bit on the rail, so it's a bit clearer to see through, and I've put the hand guard as far forwards as it goes, because that means it's easier to counteract the weight of the you know, bow, because it's quite front heavy with the massive compound thing on it. And I've lubed up the rail and string ready to go. So let's have a go. I'm going to shoot the boss from standing just in front of the bench. That's only going to be about 10 yards, a bit under, but the scope's not zeroed or anything yet. I'm brand new to using it, so we'll see how we go. Starters, the mechanism feels very different cocking one of these than it does to a conventional recurve bow, because it seems to actually offer resistance in stages rather than being an ever increasing sort of resistance. So it's cocked, the anti-dry fire thing should be on. Let's load up a bolt and see how it does. That looks all nice and ready to go. Let's see how it does. This is exciting. Just going to turn the coloured scope on. Do it the other way, make it a bit bright. Lovely. Ooh, that has a bit of a kick. I was aiming for that green bit at the centre, so obviously the zeroing needs work. Might have twitched a bit, but there's something really interesting with this, so I'm very glad they sent me the second boss. See if I can get that around and show you. These 20-inch bolts, that has enough power to actually go through the back of the boss. So that's gone all the way through the foam. That is insanely powerful. It's a good job I didn't have that right back against the fence, actually, or I might have done the bolting. But yeah. So at 10 yards I had the power to go all the way through a boss. That's insane. You can tell I'm already impressed by the power of this thing. Right, I'm going to take a few more shots, try and get a bit faster at using the cocking aid. It's very weird trying to cock this by hand. I did have a go. It's because of the sort of stage incremental sort of weight changes in the draw, it's much harder to sort of cock it, if that makes sense, with your hands. With a recurve it's always an increasing weight, so it's just like, you know, deadlifting a big barbell, but with that it's very different. Anyway, I'll get some more shots in and we'll see how the grouping goes. I'll leave that bolt there for now. And the results are in. I haven't zeroed it yet, so what I was doing is I was just trying to aim up and left more every shot to get it to try and hit the green thing without you know, having to zero the scope. However, without zeroing it, it's holding quite a good group, because obviously bear in mind I was moving where the crosshair was every shot. Let's see if they've all gone out the back. All 4 arrows have gone through the back, so we can assume that the consistency of penetration is very good with this bow. Yeah, I'm very impressed with it. There's a couple of little nags I've had with it, which I'll explain in just a moment, but overall nothing that really bothers me at all with it. It seems to be a very, very good bow. I mean, as I said, I'm going to do a more full review in a couple of weeks when I've had more of a chance to get used to it, but I'll just talk about some of the initial things now. So what do I like and what do I not like? I'll just turn this scope off to start with. What I do like is that it seems to be very powerful. Insanely powerful is the answer to that. It seems quite consistent. It's very well ergonomically designed in terms of gripping it, holding it steady, comfort of use. So what don't I like so much of it? Well, most of these complaints aren't actually going to be of the crossbow, they're for the little accessories of it. And these are probably going to be things that the more I use it, the less they bother me. But if I start off, the sling, it's nice to have a sling on it, but I think for when I'm using it most of the time I'll have the sling off. The reason is the sling can get in the way of the cocking aid. Which is one of the reasons I won't be uploading a bit of the video when I'm trying to cock the thing, is because I'm not used to it much so far. I'm not used to the rope cocker, I'm not used to having that little quiver on the front, and I'm not used to the sling. They all keep getting in the way of each other when I'm trying to cock it. So at the moment it's taking me quite a long time to cock each shot, but it's not too bad now, I'm getting more used to it. So I'll probably have the sling off for most of the time. The other thing, on the cocking aid, it's got this nice little catch to make it harder for the actual string to fall out. That's nice, but the problem is this bit often gets in the way when you're trying to cock it. So there's been quite a few times where I've nearly cocked it, then they pull too tight against there, and you have to release it, you know, re-put them on, try again. So that's just a cocking aid. The more I get used to it, that won't be a problem, but you can get other cocking aids. I'll try my other one at some point, and that might be a bit better because it doesn't have those bits on the side. Even that one grips the string better. So it's a sort of, you know, apples and pears thing, I guess. Or apples and oranges, I should say. And again, this is quite handy, but the problem is when it's underneath the bow, it's getting in the way of the stirrup a little bit. I think I'd rather keep the bolts in a quiver. You know, a proper quiver on your belt or whatever. But apart from that, I don't have any real complaints at all. It's a very nice piece of kit. A lot of it's just getting used to it, I think, because obviously I'm used to shooting recurves and this is a compound, so there's a lot of bits to do with that. But overall I'm very impressed with it, especially the power. The power on this thing is insane. I mean, it's gone all the way through a boss designed to stop these bolts. So that's a word of advice: if you're getting one of these, you might want at least 2 bosses, I think, because of how far these bolts go. Trying to think of more to say of it, really. I mean, the overall construction is very good. The stirrup's big enough for you to fit sort of quite a big foot in with a decent sized boot on. I was doing it in trainers because it's easier, but you've got these nice foam pads here which stop the string from going too far forwards when you shoot the bow, which is good. So that dampens the string, so it will prevent string wear. You've got the anti sort of dry fire thing there. I'm obviously not going to test if that works, so I don't want to wreck the bow. It's a nice feature to have on it, but like all safety features, don't rely entirely on the safety. Use the bow safely in the first place. You've got your actual safety, which is ambidextrous this time. On most of these man-kung bows, it's only on the right side, but on this it goes on both. The stock's good. You've got a rail where you can obviously put different scopes, red dots, whatever, maybe even fix iron sights if you wanted to. So it's just going to be now a question of getting used to all the bits on it, zeroing it, and then in a few weeks I'll do a more conclusive review. And I think by the time I do that, most of the things that sort of nag me a little bit on it will not be a problem, because I've got used to the bow a lot more. I'm saying this is the first time I've used it, and I'm pretty impressed. I'm very impressed with it. If I had to be critical, because they asked me to do a fair review, that's the little nags I've had so far. As I said, the more I use it, the less I think they're going to be a problem. So in a few weeks I'll hopefully get a more conclusive review up. I should have a lot more chance to use it. Hopefully have a day when the weather's a bit nicer, so I can actually, you know, have a longer period between spouts of rain trying to use it. And I should have hopefully got the scope zeroed by then, got more efficient at cocking it, everything like that. So I should have a better impression of the bow. But overall, it's very impressive. I would say with a bow like this, it's probably not the best bow for a beginner. You'd probably want to go more for one of the like Man-Kung Armex, whatever you want to call them, Jaguar Firecat type ones. You can get those off Blades and Bows. They're a very good beginner one. They're well made. They're recurves. There's less can go wrong with them. They're a bit less intimidating for beginners, and you know they're cheaper as well. So I'd say if you're new to getting a crossbow, get a recurve. If you get into crossbows a lot more, you want something more accurate with more power, then this is the way to go. But yeah, it's a very good bow overall, and I'll give you a more conclusive review in a couple of weeks.